super excited for today's conversation. We're bringing on guest Sam Goddard from Devon, United Kingdom, and she has just written the most phenomenal book called The Reiki Guide, A Journey of Transformation. And I am so excited to have her on with us, as the today of the recording is the first day it's available on Amazon in the United States. And I am just, she's stoked. I'm stoked. I actually read and completed the whole entire book, and it's just a real blessing for the Reiki community. So welcome, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on.
Wow, thank you. It's so nice to be here, and thank you for watching. A lovely introduction there. I am stoked. Yeah, absolutely. As are you. So that's good. It's a good way to start, right?
Absolutely. And it just leads right into the energy of this book. I really felt the intention when I was reading it. And I would love for you just to kind of, point out some of the intentions that when you sat down to write this, what was the intention for you?
Yeah, the intention was really strong from the beginning that I didn't want to write a how-to book. So when the opportunity came up about writing this book, and I thought about it and was approached to sort of write a Reiki book, the initial response was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then, hang on, I don't want to do the books that are out there. I don't want to write a kind of manual of this is how you do Reiki, and this is where we put our hands, and this is what it is, and put any kind of rigidity on it. What I really felt at the time, and I still feel, and it's definitely been the thread and the intention through the book, is to write something from a space of inclusivity, and writing something that was just almost like a friend you could pick up and have a bit of a guidance about what I felt Reiki was around and my passion for that, but not in any kind of dictatorial way. This is what Reiki is, but really an invitation to the reader to have some exploration and a little bit of light within that, but to make their own decisions. And that felt really important to me.
Yes. And I think that's why I love it. Like, this book could be an easy coffee table book because it's gorgeous. I mean, the visuals within the book, all of the pictures are, it reminds me of a coffee table book, but the content is so actually rich. And it's not a book that has your traditional chapters, and it has a beautiful flow to it. And I think that's really what stood out to me, because I am an inspiring author. Like, that I love the way she wrote this, because it's like you're blending the storytelling, you're blending the little educational antidotes, you're blending what a beginner to Reiki or spiritual path needs to be introduced to, as well as like these beautiful, like, not how-tos, but they're like sections of exercises, so the exercises were a big, like, yes, for me, because I mean, it has that blend of storytelling and exercises, but it's not, there is the rigidity that you see in a lot of other books of step 1, step 2, step 3 isn't there.
It was really important to me that somebody could pick the book up anywhere and open it anywhere, and be able to read that section. So those, other books you can do this with, and even like with cards, you pick up, open it, and that page resonates with you at that time. So there was really the intention of the whole book to hold energy throughout, that when the reader picked it up and it fell open, or it even fell off your coffee table on a space where the pages were open, that bit's the bit that you need to read right now. You don't need to read it from beginning to end, and it doesn't need to be in its entirety. Little snippets, I always talk about when I'm teaching Reiki, keep it simple. So the fact that hopefully you can just read the bit that resonates with you on that day, maybe have a bit of an exercise just to guide you into that, so that you're in personal experience with it as well. Hopefully some authenticity from me, as it, there's a lot of me in that book. And when I started writing it, there was a little bit of hesitance, obviously, of, am I going to put this much in of me? Because with that comes vulnerability. But I also know that, that's a big part of our journey and our healing journey. And it was for me to kind of really bring me through this. And a lot of people that have read it and have said to me, it's almost like when you read it, it's you're standing in front of me speaking. And again, that's important to me. I couldn't find another voice other than my own. So I didn't want to write it from here in terms of, it needs to sound a certain way if you're going to write a book, or it just needed to be. It needed to be me, it needed to flow, and it needed to be, I guess, how I teach. And I think that's when I reread it and when it came together, that's how it felt. And I was really pleased with that, because when we teach or share, and that's where it comes from. It channels and it just comes through us. And absolutely, when I was writing this, that's what was happening. I just opened in the same way as I'd opened to teaching, I just opened to writing, and it came through. And that's what I had to trust, that it was going to be a bit different, that it wasn't going to be maybe in everybody's thought patterns of, that's a little bit different of what Reiki is about, but it was what I felt. And I made it really clear at the beginning of the book as well, this is just my journey, my thoughts. If it doesn't resonate, that's fine as well, but hopefully within the pages there might be some bridges for some people that just enables them to kind of cross it safely and come into a space where they're able to open their own exploration. And that's what I feel sharing Reiki is all about.
Absolutely. And that vulnerability that you did share of your own personal journey really shines through so nicely and invites the reader into that vulnerability as well. And I think that's why I enjoyed reading it so much, is because I did feel like you were sitting in front of me as if I were taking a class or a workshop, and just you sharing your story. And I think I'm a huge storyteller. Like, I love sharing my story of how I came to be at this place in my Reiki path and my career. And I think people resonate with that. I think people need to know that it's not all rainbows and sunshine, that we have difficult moments, and how we move through those is really make us who we are and the teachers that we are.
Absolutely. And how Reiki, for me, kind of comes in throughout, and can benefit us in those more challenging, darker edges, whatever it is that is part of us, right? There's I think as you grow as a person, as grow an individual, and definitely on my healing journey, for sure, it's been more and more meeting that and owning, me as a whole, and how Reiki has been with me, but how to show up with that vulnerability is actually being able to step in more and more to who I am. Yes. And not just show elements of me, but show me, so hopefully the reader in this case with the book, but when I teach, there's an accessibility. I'm not some sort of Yoda that just sits there and has it all sussed. I wish I was, and sometimes, but this is human experience. We're all on our journeys, and I think it's really important to share that. And this writing has really given me the opportunity to do that. And from that, I think it's growing even more so. My work is really kind of opening more and more to that space of full truth. And, yes. And I think, that I see more and more of that around us, and I think we need it.
Yeah. And, it really brings to mind the type of reader coming to this book. Like, I foresee me offering this book and handing this book out to those who are coming to me who are on the start of their spiritual journeys, who are like, what is Reiki? Or I've just been introduced to Reiki. Perhaps they've already taken a class or two, and they're really wanting to know how to make it part of their daily practice. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you would add to that? Like, I mean, definitely as an experienced Reiki practitioner, I was definitely pulling out like, oh yeah, that's a great exercise. I'm totally stealing that. And I could, right. Well, and it's just like the beautiful way you just explained the community and culture of Reiki being that inclusive space of like, wherever you're at, whatever flavor you gravitate towards is fine. And I think I really appreciated that.
Well, yeah, I think that was really important to me. Again, it was one of the one of the ways that the fire was poked, if you like, for me to write this is that I have always felt it's really important about the inclusivity of Reiki, and that sometimes it can be felt like it's pushed into a more exclusive space, or you have to be a certain way, or you have to learn in a certain lineage, or you have to learn by a certain person, or, you know, conduct yourself in a certain way. And I think I've always been a huge believer that the integrity, as long as the integrity is underneath of how this is shared and how it is taken on, and the responsibility and how you receive Reiki is your journey. There is this beauty of being able to have your own experience. And, you know, that's what makes Reiki so beautiful. It's empowering. It's not about the one person or the one way. This is evolving. I truly believe this. We evolve. So therefore, you know, the way that we can channel and access this energy. Okay, so there's over 100 systems of Reiki now. Okay, you know, but if it's reaching people and it is being of benefit in a way that we can raise our vibration, which is bottom line basically, then great, you know. So I think it was really important to me that it was accessible for anyone, and really maybe even those, you know, the people that may feel like it's just out of reach, or it's something that you have to be a certain way to do Reiki. I mean, I have students say that to me, you know, maybe I'm not going to be able to do it, or don't you have to be a certain person to do that, or have a certain gift? It's like, no, anyone can do this if you choose to step into it. And that was the other reason that I integrated some of the, you know, the chapters around choice and intention and kindness and gratitude, these elements of the work, for sure, that you wouldn't necessarily just say, well, that's not Reiki. Isn't Reiki when you do this and, you know, heal someone? It's like, no, there's so much. It's a way of life, you know, as you said, it's choice, and you can integrate it in your way of being in so many different ways. And I think that's really important to get out there for me. So it just doesn't pigeonhole it, but that there is an expansion to this work, so that we can, you know, collectively and in community support and help and raise each other's vibration and take responsibility for ourselves as well in that.
Absolutely. And I think the term transformation really hits home with that description. Like it's not just, you know, the hands-on healing practice of Reiki. It's beyond that. It's going to the root heart of issues and really moving that energy through. And you just give such a beautiful exercises throughout to help that energy fully release and move through the body, so that the reader can experience healing just by reading the book, right?
Well, yeah, wonderful. I mean, I thank you for saying that, because that, again, that was one of the intentions. You know, I even said to my publisher, you know, the idea is that you get healing from reading this book. You know, it's very much soaked in Reiki. I was in Reiki energies when I was writing it. The visuals, there's been hours and hours of, you know, channeling and energy placed into it in a way that, I really hope that comes through the pages. Again, when we read it, or just a picture, anything just resonates. It might be a word, it might be something in the background, some design, it could be one of the exercises. I think, again, the exercises helps people just to connect to it, who might think, I don't know, I haven't taken any Reiki yet, I don't really know what it is. But actually that bit there, I think I could do that meditation, or I might be able to do it with this help, or whatever it is, you know, just to guide each reader, I guess, on their own personal journey.
There was a section in the book that I really got tingles and just felt like, oh, and here is Sam's passion and bright light. I bet you even know what section I'm talking about. But the section on, you know, honoring the child for who they are, that childhood piece, I would love for you to speak about what it was like to write that, and to really honor yourself as a mother and guiding your own very unique empath as your son.
Yeah. I mean, I think I even say at the beginning of that chapter, I had to sort of take a big inhalation because it has always been a passion of mine. You know, my work, my Reiki Rascals work is kind of one of the areas that I'm known for. And I almost have to take a pause and breathe into that, because again, I think it's of so much importance, but also there's so much magic in the beauty of working with children and having just that shift in being able to hold space for, you know, these kids that are coming through and with Reiki, and how that has, yeah, definitely, I've seen it firsthand. You know, I felt that before, but having been a mum now, and you know, my son's now 11. I think he was like 9 when I first started writing this, or something like that. And how he's trained in Reiki, and it really assists him on his journey, but also just all of the stages of childhood and living at. He is my, what's the word? Is it my muse? But he, you know, he is an inspiration to me. He has been since he was born. I had a really tricky birth, went through all of that as well. And it was, and the pregnancy and all of it. So it completely, as with all of my work, it translates straight into my work of how, you know, I am today. So working with pregnancy has been a big passion of mine. And again, sort of almost dispelling this myth of everything's beautiful and rosy, and just getting a bit more down to the, you know, the reality of pregnancy, the reality of birth, the reality of childhood from the mother's perspective, from the child's perspective. And just coming away from this is how it should be, and you know what's placed upon us and what's placed upon kids, and having some more space to just actually sit with what's there, and the individualism of, you know, yourself as a mum. No one can tell you how to be a mum. That comes through you, but I do feel that Reiki can really assist you with that, and assist you with the challenges. And the other way around, the kids, they're individuals from, you know, the moment they're conceived right the way through, and holding that space so not to, I guess, yeah, push them into a place they don't want to go. I mean, I always say to my son, you know, you're a round person trying to fit in a square hole. And, you know, that's sometimes going to cause some challenges for you, but it's also who you are. And, you know, it's about how we then, and you navigate that as who you are, and holding that space for yourself. And that comes down to, well, many things, but I think the holding, I mean, I talk about holding space when I talk about my clients and my students, but I have to hold space for my boy. You know, for him to be who he is, and for him to know that, you know, his sensitivities and his empathic nature, like his mom, is actually something that can bring some challenges, but is his gift as well. So it's the duality that it comes with everything, that I think, again, Reiki can shine a light on. It doesn't have to push you into conformity. It doesn't have to push you into non-conformity. It can just allow you to be who you are. Yeah. You know, and that's really important. I'm working more and more with kids right now, of all ages, and you know, and I think, yeah, it's needed. It's needed, that space for them, and just a different way, because not one way. It's like Reiki, not one way serves everybody, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I would love to see children have an opportunity to experience Reiki and to do, I feel like so many children who are being born today are just naturals. They're, you know, they just pick it up. They're already doing it without even knowing it. They're so sensitive. And then, you know, our culture, our institutions, all the things really try to damper that, because there's just not that space within the system to really both be fully authentically themselves. And I love that this is a invitation to at least hold space for when the time is available.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we live in human experience, we live in society, we can't just make it all happen, but we can have some choice around that. We can create some space, create some awareness, create some emotional intelligence around that. We can be supported energetically as a mother, as parents, as carers, as the kids themselves. You know, I mean, I teach kids, they come here and yeah, they teach me. You know, I had a group of 6 girls recently. They were 7, 8, and 9. And I was like, you guys take over. You know, they were so natural. They don't have the questions. They don't have the layers of kind of, you know, over and over of belief systems that have been kind of placed on us and ingrained in us. They're pretty much still at that space where they're holding on. And when you give them space, they just go, you know, and you can see their light and their intuition and their wisdom actually come through.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, why are we dampening that? Why are we not giving, you know, them the ample space to grow that natural ability? But we are, you know, there's a lot of spaces, it's changing. And just the idea of children working with Reiki and learning Reiki, I think is just something really beautiful. And a lot of people really resonate with it. And kids are just, yeah, as you said, they just kind of go straight for it. They're natural healers. They're naturally intuitive. And yeah, let's support that.
Absolutely. So question for you. What was your favorite chapter that you wrote in the book?
Oh, I'm going to look at my book now. What's my favorite chapter? You know, the one that jumps out, just because it makes me smile, is the blue pill, red pill. Mm-hmm. Just because of the nod to the Matrix, and how much that kind of that kind of concept of just awakening and unplugging, again, really resonates with me. Whether you're a fan of the Matrix or not, it doesn't really matter. But there's something about choice. I think choice really comes into play so much in my work, in my private work, when I see clients. And again, just when you meet a lot of students, I'm sure you recognize this, that people are definitely at transitions or crossroads where for some reason we lose sight of the fact we have choice.
Yeah.
And there's something around shifting energetically into understanding and remembering that we do have choice. That can be such a light bulb moment. And that choice is, as I said, earlier with Reiki, it's just choice. If we choose to connect to the life force energy, to the ki, to the chi, to the prana, to whatever you want to call it, and however you want to access it, we have the availability to really empower ourselves and heal ourselves, and therefore be of service and to others as well. But I think choice is key, and shining a bit of light on that is something that I come across every single day. So there's a little bit of a smile with the blue pill, red pill one, just because, I guess I said the Matrix nod, but that jumps into mind. I think obviously the chapter, as you mentioned, with the children, because Arthur's in there. Obviously that's very close to my heart, but actually each section really resonated, otherwise it wouldn't be there. I couldn't write something, I wasn't told what to write. It had to come naturally. So each element of it has its place, and I enjoyed the journey of each element, because it kind of came in that way. It was, it came out as I was writing, and for sure, in the way that it chose to come out. So it wasn't naturally like I just started and then ended. Sections came through, but I enjoyed each section because I think it brought an element of my own journey in, that I could reconnect with. And, there was healing for me in this. There was reminders of me, to me in this. And I think again, that's something that's really beneficial to us, to kind of go back to basics. I'm known as the grounding woman, so obviously the grounding chapters have got to be in there, the cleansing chapters got to be in there, those kind of things. But I think always having the opportunity to come back to basics and to revisit from our own perspective is something that's, you know, that's truly valuable. So yeah, maybe I should get that down, which one's my favorite chapter. But at the moment, I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit and say pretty much all of them. So that's, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And in that, like, each chapter, I mean, I honestly didn't recognize that there was chapters or sections until about halfway through. And I was like, oh, there's a section on it.
Yeah.
Right. And I loved that because it wasn't numbered. It wasn't like, it didn't have that rigidity feeling. It flowed so nicely from one topic to the next. And it did exactly that. It had those reminders to go back to the basics. And I love how you're honoring your own process of, like, the spiritual journey doesn't end. There is no end to it. It's a continuum. And especially that of transformation, which your book is obviously, you know, included in the title. Like, it's not a one and done thing. It's like continuously, you can come back to this. You can continuously open up and find what resonates with you. I love that you can use it like as an oracle and just like flip open. I'm that's how I'm going to be using it.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. And I think, you know, recognizing that is something that, again, maybe translates into the book, but, you know, I speak to students often about the way that Reiki is kind of structured in a path. You know, we sort of start at Reiki 1 and then we work towards masters. And within that, I've met probably on my journey too, but along the way now, holding space for others, that, you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to get to Reiki Masters, and there's this idea that it's that finished. And, you know, I always say, no, you're just beginning. And it's like, what? I thought I was a Reiki Master now. I was like, yeah. And it begins, you know, and it begins again, and it begins again. And that's the beauty of it, that we just continue. I'm on my journey, you're on your journey. Hopefully the readers of this book are going to get on their journey, or already are on it, or pick it up wherever it sits, because it's trusting, isn't it? I feel like, for me, when someone picks this book up, it will be the right time.
Yes. And
it will come in at the right time, just as the teacher does, just as the student does, just as whoever on our path comes in. It's the timing, you know, it is divine timing. That's what we're talking about, you know, divine consciousness in human experience. That's my view about what Reiki is about. So yeah, it makes sense to hopefully have a book that, you know, is in sync with that. So I'm glad to hear that you now feel like it could be used as an oracle.
Yeah.
I hope so too. I'm going to do the same, you know, pick it up and drop it. Well, not drop it too hard, but just drop it and see where it opens. Because even for me, I wrote this, but, you know, sometimes when you kind of look at it again, there's something in there that you know, that sparks a resonance in us and in myself, that I think, oh yeah, actually, that's what I need to be with today. And that's something, you know, I guess within the precepts as well, in our work, it's always coming back to those, you know, the original Usui precepts, which are in some of our lineages, which is beautiful, but it's just that reminder of simplicity and coming back to what's on top. How do I feel? What energy is with me? What healing do I need? How can I look after myself? How can I have compassion for myself, for others? All of those aspects of this work.
Yeah. And I love that, you know, you were able to describe your, you know, corporate life and like breaking away from that. And it does go right back to the red pill, blue pill of going, I can choose to slow down. I can choose to take the time to look at those difficult parts in my life or those shadows of myself and shine a light. And Reiki is a fantastic modality to shine that light and an invitation into that healing path of going, I have a choice just to be mindful. I have a choice to instead of rushing through, I can take 30 seconds longer and actually just clear my mind and be present in the moment. So just a really beautiful reminder and invitation back into our own self-practice and self-love and self-care, which was so emphasized. And I loved that, because even as Reiki practitioners out there, the listeners here, sometimes we forget that we need to put ourselves first.
And it's vital, and we, in order to serve others, we have to be of service to self. It's a journey and a lesson I have had to learn over and over and over again. And I still remind myself of that, on a daily basis. I need to look after myself if I'm going to be of service to others. And, that's been a long journey. And if we are, my background was definitely like, just keep pushing, keep driving, keep saying yes. And what happens? You burn out and, you hit a wall. And it's the same story for so many of us. It's like, okay, this just isn't working. Until I truly listen and understand that I've got to put myself right up there and as equal to, to everyone else, and be at the top of my priority list, and give myself time so that I can truly then authentically step into space and say, okay, I'm looking after myself, therefore let me enable myself to hold space for you to look after yourself. I think that's the flow of this as well. And I think, the universe kind of respects that, Reiki respects that. There's some responsibility in our journey, isn't there, about, listening, about ownership of where we're at, and about, gentle acceptance and a lot of care and kindness and love that is needed to do this work, but also to remember, and I hope that comes across in the book as well, that I think, like with a lot of healing modalities and healing journeys, we can get quite caught up in our traumas, our challenges, our shadow, those words that absolutely we need to work on too. But the duality and the flip side of that is the joy, is the beauty of this work, is the magic, is the presence, is just that pureness of what Reiki is, which is love, right? And when we come into that and feel all of it, then that's when we'll really be able to step into our own, empowered self, as it were.
Yes. Well, as we know, the journey continues. So what's your next steps? What's on your docket? What are we creating and putting forward?
Now? Okay. Well, I definitely think there's going to be some more work around, some online work and workshops around the book as well, which will be great, and to take my work into a space of, again, a different way of being able to share what I do. I'm working on all sorts of things at the moment. I'm working on an animation film of my first book, Finding Ray's Key, which some people know about as well, which will be amazing. Again, that kind of process around mindful awareness for children and emotional intelligence and holding space, but this time through film. So the creative industries are somewhere where I have a lot of passion and love for, which I'm feeling is coming back in, and I'm slowly integrating that back into my work. And I think that's really important, to recognize that we shift and change, that how we deliver our work and how we're guided changes. And to be open to that change is something that keeps us fresh and able to be inspired, and hopefully then inspire others. So I'm really open to kind of what comes in. I think there's another book on the horizon. I'm not going to say what it is yet, but definitely there's another book idea that's been going on in my head, probably not so much simultaneously, but as this one was coming to an end, another one came in quite strongly. So I think I'm going to be brave and dip into that, which we'll watch the space on that one. There's another book in the Ray series that I'm just finishing too, which again is something that I'm excited by. So lots of things happening. And, you know, it's just really wonderful to have more of an outreach. I think, you know, I'm based in Devon. My Reiki school is called Devon School of Reiki. So I do a lot of work here, and I love my in-person work. And, you know, there's nothing I enjoy more than working in person with people. However, you know, with what's gone on over the last few years and having Zoom and being able to now work in this way as well, I'm really comfortable. I'm really grateful actually that I can reach more people. And, you know, the book's coming out in America today, which is wonderful, you know, and I'm a long way away from there right now in person, but I can, you know, I can speak to you like this and hopefully speak to, you know, a lot of other people via Zoom, which, you know, we would not have been able to do that. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity as well. And just to work with a wider audience, but who they are, how that looks, I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited to find out.
Yes, and we're just going to like invite that divine inspiration to continuously flow.
Bring it in. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I never know what's around the corner. People say to me, so what's next? Like if you'd have asked me 5 years ago, would I be sitting here having a Zoom interview, talking about my second book release? I would have kind of looked at that person slightly like oddly, I would have thought. But here we are, you know, and I'm loving it. And I still have such a passion for this work. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. And, you know, and I think that's really important. And for me, it has to come from that place of just being myself. And, you know, I'm far enough down my own journey now to feel into that and to own who I am and how I work, and trust that I will reach and work with the right people, and they'll land in front of me as they would land in front of anyone else that's going to, you know, work with them. But also the same with opportunities. That's what Reiki does, right? It just opens doors. I've always been one to kind of not look for those doors, but be aware of those doors. And I'm quite good at jumping. So normally head first through them, and then going, okay, I've done that. So I'm looking forward to jumping through a few more doors that I know are coming. What exactly they look like right now, I'm not sure, but I know that there's some really exciting things right around the corner, and here actually. I mean, you know, today is a big day, so I'm grateful to be speaking to you on this day.
Beautiful. And so if our listeners would like to get in touch with you, take your stuff, where should we be sending them to?
Yeah, so well, my personal website is samanthagoddard.com. Please email me. Always reach out on email. info@samanthagoddard.com is the best way to reach me via email. I'm obviously on social media. So there's a Devon School of Reiki, Facebook and Instagram. There's my own personal Instagram is Journeys with Sam, Journeys_with_Sam. And you can find me and see a little bit more of, I try and keep that quite, it's personal. I mean, you see a bit of me, you know, you'll see me speaking about my work, but you'll also see me having a dance somewhere, or listening to music, or, you know, my boys on there too. So, and I think, you know, again, it's who I am. And I really feel that if you resonate with, you know, with my energies, and then that's where it leads from. You know, there's no point in me pretending anything other than that. So they're the best way of probably reaching me. And I'd love to hear from some of your listeners. And if anybody, would like to reach out, then obviously now I'm holding sessions on Zooms as well. And I'm doing teaching online, and I do workshops online, and I do Reiki circles and shares online too. So with that opportunity, then hopefully some of your listeners can join in.
Absolutely. And the Reiki guide, the transformational journey, as well as Raised Keys, are both of Sam's books, and you can find them on Amazon, as well as hopefully go ask at your local bookstores that tell them that they need to have this in stock. All of the encouragement to get this book out. And I really say that from a really loving place. Like, I'm not an affiliate. I'm not making money to hold up Sam. I really do enjoy this book. I think it's going to be a great resource to have on hand for Reiki practitioners, especially when we have those people who are like, I don't know anything about spirituality. I don't know where to get started. This is a great beginner's starting point, because they're especially at those crossroads where I'm in the corporate world, or I'm struggling, or I'm hit burnout mode. This is a great book to help anyone slow down and go, I have access to this healing love and light energy. And these exercises are just brilliant way to help you get into that flow. So
and then it's your choice.
And it's your choice. You get to choose to say yes to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And may the journey begin or continue for all of us.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful one.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for coming on. I am excited to see where your journey leads. You're always full of surprises. And I look forward to continuously supporting your practice and all the good work that you continuously put out for children and others. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on today and share with us about your new book.
And thank you. I really appreciate, this space, all that you do. Your community is amazing. And, I love your work and your inclusivity of Reiki, and how you shine your light so brightly for so many people. So long may it continue. And, I really, really appreciate your support. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. And to all of our listeners, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much.